What is up, everybody? It is Captain Panda, and I am back doing YouTube. Don't know if this is going to be before my first episodic review or after or whatever, but it's going to be my first full review, I know that. And this one's going to be kind of an introductory review, kind of getting me back into YouTube, getting me back in the flow of things, see where this goes, gonna see what's gonna happen with this review, I don't know, but if you want to know what's going on right now, I'm going to be reviewing Scum's Wish. And if you haven't watched the show, then I suggest you go watch it. Like, if you want to know if it's good, I'm going to say right now, it is good. So go watch it if you want to watch it. If you don't care about spoilers, then let's get started. And if you don't know what this, anime's about, it's, a story about a girl who likes her teacher / her, older brother type character, which is her friend. He's not related, but she calls him Oni-chan, which is weird. But I'll get into that. And also a boy who likes his teacher as well, who was kind of like his tutor. And basically, these two people who like their teachers, they date each other because they can't get with their teachers, and they act like they're each other's teachers. And it kind of goes in depth. With their psychological, basically in their heads and how they feel and how they want to be with their teachers and how it's kind of toxic in a way. Which normally this premise sounds like shit. It sounds like it would be really bad, but really it's not. It's handled really well throughout most of it, I would say. Most of the scenes that they do handled really well. I really enjoyed everything that they pretty much did, except one scene which I had a big gripe against, which I'll get into. But basically, seemingly every character in the show, which this show is very much centered around characters and not events. There's some events, but it's more like a character story. Which the main focus of this review will be characters. So seemingly every character is a scum. In a way, they're very selfish. They want their own way. But the point is that they are all redeemable. There is no person in the show who is so selfish or so evil in your eyes when you're watching the show that they are not redeemable. They are redeemable. And even the character, even characters you just think are a piece of shit. They're redeemable. And by the end, I feel like even when you just hate them the whole show, I feel like by the end you understand them a little bit more. And even if you don't like what they did, you can understand that they can move on, and then they can pretty much move on with their lives and start something fresh and new and good, which I like. We're going to begin the characters here. Main character is Hanabi. She loves her childhood friend, who is also her teacher now, and she calls him Oni-chan, which means brother. It's a little weird, but it honestly works. It's not overused. It's not let's do it for the feels, or let's do it for people who want to come in their pants, I guess. I have no idea. But they don't do it for that. She's trying to find love, any type of love. She thinks her teacher is her only person that she can love. And this is shown so much in this anime from Hanabi's perspective, which is nice, and she does this by having a fake boyfriend. She basically is trying to find any type of love whatsoever, which I find is really relatable with a lot of girls that I know, even boys, which we're going to get into here in the other character, but just by her, it's very relatable. I'm going to just say that. Even though Hanabi is kind of blind to wanting love in a lot of ways, how she gets with her fake boyfriend and everything, she does realize she's hurting people. So she has this best friend that she has who likes her, and she gets with her. They have a lesbian relationship together, and surprisingly it's handled well, and it's not overdone. Even when they have full-on sex in the show, it's not oh my gosh, we're gonna oh my gosh, no, it means something, and there's meaning to to the event that is happening at that moment within the characters, which I like. Mainly Hanabi, and also her best friend Sane, which I'm going to begin in here as well. But first off, like, she's selfish. She has these Hanabi has these selfish reasons to do this to her friend, and it's just showing that she's lost. For the most part, showing that she's lost. She doesn't really understand what she wants. She's trying to grasp at anything that moves. She doesn't want to lose her friend. She also just wants to have somebody to love. She also, like, is kind of in a meltdown in her high school life, which I think is handled pretty well. We're going to move on to Sane, who I'm going to call Sane. Don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's what I'm going to say. So Sane, she is the best friend of Hanabi, the girl who takes advantage of Hanabi through the week. She's basically like, she takes advantage of Hanabi during Hanabi's weakest moments, and she very scummy. You're like, what kind of friend would do that? Like, so she like gets with her when she's at her weakest. She makes her sleep with her on this like weird, like, it's very weird when you watch it. Like, oh my gosh, like, it's very like, oh, messed up in a way, but it's supposed to be messed up. That's the whole point. And you feel like, man, like, throughout this anime, I was like, Sane is gonna like get wrecked halfway through like this anime, or like at the end she's gonna just be like a crack whore or something. Like but no, like, she turns out fine at the end, which I could see some gripes with people being like, everybody kind of turns out fine at the end, but I feel like that's the message that the show's trying to tell you, is that, like, no matter how hard it gets, or like how scummy people can be through your eyes, that they can actually like get out of the situation and come out with something good, which I like that about the anime. Basically, this friend is a lesbian, and she just like wants to be with Hanabi, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what she is. The one gripe I had with this whole thing, I liked the whole relationship, I liked where it was going, I liked how they got back around to being friends again and not lovers, because that was like weird, and Hanabi thought it was weird. She doesn't want to lose a friend, and she also didn't know what she was doing, really. Anyways, what I didn't like was that when they made up and they said they're going to be like friends again, basically what they did was like kiss at the end. Like, I thought that was weird. I thought that was like put in there for fan service, just to have fan service. And it's like the only moment I felt like that was like fan service. Like, I was just like, oh, like, I was like that. I felt like it was so out of character for Hanabi, for one thing. Like, be like, oh, well, like, we're gonna be friends again. I don't like being your lover. Like, that's not who I am. Oh, but let's like make out, you know? Like, what? No, that was totally out of character for Hanabi. I felt like that's just me. Maybe other people thought it was different, but that was me. They also have this thing where like Sainai has like a cousin who likes her, and like maybe they get together, maybe they don't. Like, we don't know. Like, is Sainai a bisexual? Is she a lesbian? We don't know. We don't really get that, which I kind of is like, okay, but like maybe you can mention that a little bit, but it was kind of just left in the air for most of the part with Sainai. I thought Sainai was probably the weakest out of all the characters in terms of like actually doing something with her after her kind of major arc with the main character. I felt like they kind of left her in the dust, besides like showing her up later and like being like, oh, well, like, we're friends again. Okay, next character we're talking about is Mugi. He is the main male protagonist. Basically, with Mugi, it's weird. He is a main character, but I feel like he's a background character for the most part. Like, he basically, you see that he uses people. A lot of the time he uses a lot of these people in the anime, but we learn, which is really nice, we learn that he also was used by people in the past, which I think is really nice. I felt like it was like a good arc for him, seeing that he was used by people, which in turn makes him use others, which is nice. I like it. Made him he's very scummy with it. Like, and even people that used him in the past, he goes back and uses them again, which is really surprising for one thing, and also like cool. Like it's like whatever, but also my thing with him is that like I feel like he's longing to be fleshed out in the anime. Like we never really get into his head as a character. We never really understand what he's thinking for the most part. We do on like a very base level of what he's thinking about his teacher and like those different things. Like I've had my first time with this person and she used me, but we don't really get into his head like we do with Hanabi, which is like my thing. Like by the end I'm like, what about Mugi? Like does Mugi like move? Like does he feel the same way that Hanabi does by the end? And I know it kind of shows that, but like we didn't really get that indication through the whole show, which I was like, whatever. But also we kind of do. So it's not the worst. It's good. It just could be better, I think. For the most part, he just kind of he's a user and he's a user and he's been used. That's kind of his character. We're gonna move on to Akane. Akane is kind of like the main antagonist of the freaking show, and she was very much a supporting character for a few episodes until she was like brought to like a main character status, partway through the anime, which definitely I felt the show was hitting a point where I was like, where could this show go next? What could it do? And like, how can it keep my interest at this level? Because I was kind of falling off a little bit. But what I liked about this is because they do like a whole 360, because you don't really get the whole big message about what's happening until Akane comes along. And that's what I like as well about this anime, is Akane's really cool. Like, so like, she's probably the most scum of all the people in the show, for the most part. And I was, like, I was like, okay, like, I was like, Akane has, she's gonna, like, not get what she wants in the end, or, like, she's gonna, like, kill herself, or leave town, or something like that, but no, she, like, gets what she wants in the end, and actually it works better than what I was thinking, surprisingly. She basically is shown wanting to love all men. We don't really get a whole big backstory on her, on why she is this way. It's kind of like, well, we do, but like it's more like she's that way because she's just that way, and there's no rhyme or reason for her being that way other than like she puts on a face so other men like her. So then these men like her the way that like they like the act rather than her herself. And throughout this, we basically, by the end, we're getting into this. But like by the end, like she basically is just like, I find somebody that loves me for who I am, scum and all, wanting to be with other men and stuff, and he loves me for who I am, so I will now be with him because he now it's like, if all her life she hasn't had anybody who loves her for who she is, but then she finds somebody who does love her for who she is, and then she marries him. Which is like, it's done really well throughout the show. I feel like the way that she's being used and how she uses Mugi as well to get back at Hanabi, because that's what she does as well, and I like that. Like, it's really cool, and I'm just like, keep doing that, and they keep doing it, and then by the end they redeem her, they make her develop, and I'm just like, whoa. That's what I like about all these characters. All the characters develop, and then they move on with their lives. It's not like we like get a definite ending for each one. They just move on, because that's like the whole point of the show. I'm gonna get into some characters that like really were like in the show, but I felt like were lacking, or like were there for reasons and they fulfilled those reasons, but they could have been more. But granted, it was a 12 episode show, so if we had like 24 or even like 15, maybe we could get these characters more. Noriko, she's the girl that loves Mugi, and basically she's kind of like Akane in a way, which is really surprising. She changes herself into somebody that she isn't to get Mugi's attention and to love her back. And she kind of centers her whole life around one boy. As Akane centers herself around all men, Noriko centers herself around one man. And this is what she does really, like, crazy, like also, like, the art and stuff in this as well, which I will be getting into the art and animation. But for the most part, like, with her scenes, it's very much, like, in her head, what she's thinking, how she perceives it, and what goes on. And I like that a lot. I felt like we got more with Noriko in some ways than we did with Mugi, which is surprising. But it's done well. I just felt like maybe we could have, like, gotten back to her, because she shows up in, like, the first 2 episodes, I think, or, like, maybe the second episode, and then she kind of goes away for a little bit, she comes back, then she goes away for a little bit, and then she comes back, and I'm just like, maybe we could have brought her back a little bit more, kind of worked her into the plot more, but it did work with Mugi's whole story with what he was doing, and it also helped her as well, so it was fine. I liked it. It was one of the better side characters, other than this next one, which I'm going to get into, which is Narumi. Narumi is the guy that Hanabi likes, the main character, and for the most part, he is there for plot. He is the character that is used for multiple situations to advance the plot or keep motivations. So he's fine. Like, he's used well. He's just not a character. Like, he is there for the reason, mainly for Mugi to have a for Hanabi to have a motivation to love somebody and wanting to love somebody, but not realizing that she has somebody to love right in front of her. But also, he's used for the biggest part of the whole show is Akane finding love and somebody that loves her for who she is, because Narumi does this. He's like, I don't care if, like, you don't get with other men and stuff, like, I love you for who you are, and, like, you're, like, I accept you. And she's like, oh, I love you. And I'm just like, it's good for her. It's good because from her perspective, and basically we've gotten all her perspective throughout the whole show, Akane, it works for the most part. But from Narumi's perspective as a character, he is just the, like, device used to advance the plot. And for the most part, it's okay. It's okay. He's definitely the one that could be fleshed out, because, like, he's not at all. Like, we don't know anything about him really, except, like, he's, like, friends with Habane, and, like, he's friends, and then he, like, wants to get with Akane. That's it. And I'm just like, you could have done something more with that. I thought the pacing overall for the show, it didn't linger on any plots for too long. It wasn't like, we're gonna stick with the lesbian girl scenes for, like, 5 episodes. No, we stick it for, like, 1 or 2, and they're focused, and then when that plot's done, it's done, and then we don't come back to it because it's already done. We don't need any more of it until, like, it's brought up later for, like a recollection moment or something. Like, it's nice. We're gonna get into the art animation. The art and animation are great in this anime. Basically, a lot of times it shows really good scenes with how scummy these people are. Not even just, like, artificially, like, they're in the bed, like, doing it together, but, like, also, like, in their heads about how they think and what they think, and how, like, it really, especially with Akane, and showing, like, her, like, twisted mind and how she thinks and how it's all messed up. Like, it's really good, especially the last few episodes. It really, like, goes up even more with that art and animation, and I'm just like, dude, what the heck? The use of the blank and white screens that they use, they use blank white and black screens a lot of the time, basically to show their selfishness. So they show black during the scenes where they're very selfish, they kind of lose their way, they're blind in a lot of ways, they don't realize what they have in front of them. And they use, though, white as acceptance, and basically realizing that they can move on and that they have a life out there besides this one person in the life who they think they need to be with, which is used very well with Hominy a lot. And I like this. I like it a lot. They do it really well. I wish they did it with Mugi more. I feel like they didn't. Like, only a couple times maybe. And they did it with Akane, which was like the second best, I felt like. But it was mostly with Hanabi since she was the main character, and it's used very well. I really like that. Music, I honestly didn't notice. I wasn't really into it. The ending song was great. I'll give you that. The ending song was great. The opening song was like, whatever. It was okay. Like, it was fine. But like everything else in the show, I was like, I don't really like care. But that's just me. Basically, for my conclusion, each character by the end of the show seemingly finds what is right in front of them and knows that the whole, like, they need to accept that their first love isn't always who they're gonna be with, and that there's better things out there for them. And that's the whole thing. And like getting past things in their life, even Akane learning to love somebody and basically finding somebody to accept her for who she is. And even by the end, when you see like Hanabi and Mugi not get together, like when I first saw this, I was like, oh, they're not together? I was like, that's weird. And I was like, I don't know if I like that or not. But then I thought about it, and I was like, I actually do like it, because Hanabi and Mugi, they shouldn't be together. They were using each other for selfish purposes, and for them being together, I don't feel would be right. I feel like what they did with going separate ways, moving on with their lives, and finding somebody else is the right way to go, for the most part. I really like it. We show some other characters throughout the show, like all the characters that I mentioned. They get like little things by the bonfire, kind of showing that they're moving on or accepting, or they're sad, but they're also like, I understand that I need to move on with my life, and I definitely get all that. And I'm just like, that's nice. That's great. You need to keep doing that. Like, and overall, this show was great. I gotta say, this show was great. For a 12-episode show, it structured itself well, it paced itself well, it did great with every character, I felt like, except except Narumi. But he was used in a way that like worked, and it wasn't like used throughout. It's not like he was brought in every time something needed to move forward. He was just used like once in that way, which was nice. So overall, my score for this anime, I would give a 9 out of 10. I know that's crazy, but honestly, it does everything right, except a few things that I was like, meh, like, maybe, like, we need to, like, stop, especially with, like, the kissing scene, and then Narumi, and then, like, a little bit of Mugi in there, but, like, overall, like, yeah, it was great. If you're looking for a show that's, like, very serious in its tone, and kind of has a darker kind of concept within its characters, I would suggest you watch White Album 2. It's not as good as Scum's Wish, but it's still good. I would really suggest people to watch that if they want to have something similar to Scum's Wish. And that's pretty much all I could think about, really, with like a romance show that deals with this kind of stuff. I'm not definitely an expert in all anime whatsoever, but like, that's definitely the one I would recommend if you want to watch it. So that was my review on Scum's Wish. A little long, but I am getting back into this. I will definitely make these shorter. I just thought I would have like a little character, like a character discussion on this show, because I thought it was great, and I feel like everybody should probably give this show a chance, even though some people might not like it for what it does. So definitely, I will do these more. I will also be doing episodics. Don't know if I've actually done one yet, because this is actually recorded before, so like, maybe I already got one out there, who knows. But anyways, if you want more of this, remember to subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.